Free agency in professional football is one of the most exciting, yet wild times in the NFL. It's monumental for players who are trying to set up their future and receive potentially a life-changing contract. There is one free agency story that stands out from the rest as one of the most unexpected, odd, yet funny stories. That would be the Anthony Barr 2019 free agency drama. Anthony Barr, a standout linebacker for the Minnesota Vikings, was one of the most sought-after free agents in 2019. Barr was in his prime, heading into free agency with 4 consecutive Pro Bowls on his resume, and being one of the best linebackers available. The Vikings were in a bad cap situation, only having $5 million free at the beginning of free agency, and it was expected Barr would go somewhere else to get paid his true value. Many teams were vying for his services, but it was the New York Jets who emerged as the frontrunners to sign Barr. The Jets were in desperate need of help all around, finishing 4-12 in 2018 and bringing in Adam Gase as their new head coach. Gase brought in Greg Williams to be his defensive coordinator, and Williams saw Barr as the perfect fit for his 3-4 defense, with Barr's ability to be used in coverage and be an effective blitzer. In fact, on the very first day of legal tampering, it was reported that Barr had agreed to a contract with the Jets. The Jets were willing to break the bank, and the contract was going to be worth $14 to $15 million a year. Barr wanted to stay with the Vikings, but knew it most likely wasn't going to happen due to the Vikings' cap situation. Despite that, when the Jets made their top offer, all Barr could ask his agent was, "Where's Minnesota?" The Jets reached the amount of money where Barr would go to the Jets, so Barr, his agent, and his mom were on a call. His agent, Ryan Williams, played Theme from New York, New York by Frank Sinatra as a celebration. The reaction from Anthony Barr? It felt like a funeral, and his agent recalls Barr saying, quote, "I feel like I just made the worst mistake of my life." Following this, his agent called the Jets saying Anthony Barr needed the night to rethink about signing with them. Vikings Vice President of Football Operations, Robert Brzezinski, heard about the reports about Barr heading to the Jets, and then he was ultimately surprised when he got a phone call from agent Ryan Williams asking what the Vikings' best and final offer was. Barr had a very rough night and told the story saying, "I was up for all morning, just looking at my ceiling, just looking for a sign, talking to everybody, trying to figure something out." After getting no sleep at 6 in the morning, his agent called him asking for a decision and offered the advice of taking happiness over a few more millions of dollars. And then, that morning, the news broke the NFL that Anthony Barr had changed his mind. He was backing out of the Jets deal and instead returning to the Vikings on a contract worth notably millions of dollars less in guarantees. This was a shocking turn of events and something that rarely has happened before, and fans and analysts were left wondering what had happened, having not known the story that we now know of. When agent Ryan Williams called Barr to let him know that he was going to stay a Minnesota Viking, he recalled what had happened. He said, "Congrats, dude, you're a Viking." And he literally screamed that this was the best day of his life. I said to him, "That's the reaction I was hoping to get yesterday." Anthony Barr's shocking decision left the Jets and their fans disappointed, which is something they're already used to. But he explained that he just didn't feel comfortable with the situation. Barr said, "It was just a gut feeling. It wasn't anything specific that anyone said or did. I just didn't feel right. I felt physically sick." In the end, Barr got what he wanted and returned to the Vikings on a 5-year contract. The Vikings were thrilled to have him back, and Barr said he was happy to be staying with the team that drafted him. Anthony Barr's decision to back out of the Jets deal was extremely unusual and surprising and hilarious looking back on it, especially as a Jets fan myself. It's comical how a player felt physically sick thinking about being a New York Jet and backed out of the deal. But ultimately, it led to Anthony Barr back to the team he loved. And for Vikings fans, that was a victory in itself.
Trying to kick it with our feet up, shoot my shot, now the 3 up, hit me back, wanna re-up, hope this feeling never leave us non-stop.